Have you ever seen a dog nearly all white in color who may be deaf or blind or possibly both? Now, have you ever wondered what could cause this sort of thing or what they are? And if you haven't, I bet you are now. These dogs are often the most unheard about dogs in America. And from this, I want you, my audience, to be able to walk away with this with a sense of knowledge about these dogs and their lives. There are 3 main points I want to discuss to you about these dogs. They are what they are referred to as, where they come from, and what their future holds. Now, I'm sure you're thinking with being such unique animals, they probably possess a unique name as well. And with that, you would be right. Now, if you have heard about these animals before, they are often called lethal whites. However, this is incorrect. Merriam-Webster's online dictionary defines the term lethal of relating to or causing death, gravely damaging or destructive. Its second definition states, an abnormality of genetic origin causing the death of an organism it possesses, i.e. the lethal gene. It continues to say that the lethal gene is a gene in some cases that can cause death of an organism instantly. All 3 of which predominantly point to death as the outcome for these animals. However, that's not completely true. They were given this name from ranchers who had fowls that carried the actual lethal gene from contaminated horse food that would contain paint chips that caused these fowls to not be able to digest their food once they were born, and they would die a few hours shortly after birth. These fowls would be completely white with blue eyes, which the ranchers later related to the Australian shepherds being born of the same kind of structure. These animals, however, are born with some ounce of color. They can have various eye colors, and most importantly, they do not die after birth of complications, but they can be born deaf, blind, or possibly both. In correct terms, these dogs should be referred to as homozygous merles. And yes, it does have to do with their genes. These homozygous merles come from the breeding of 2 merle Australian Shepherd dogs. You see, Australian Shepherds can come in 2 colors. One color is the solid recessive gene that's represented by a lowercase m. The next color is the dominant merle gene, which is represented by a capital M. Now, as you may or may not know, when talking about genes, you have to put, there's a pair of 2. For the Aussie, for the solid color, they must possess the lowercase double m gene. The merle must contain a capital M and a lowercase m. However, when 2 dogs with this dominant gene are bred, it produces a dog born with the capital double M gene, which causes the dog to be born mostly white, deaf, blind, or both. They are also sometimes born with not completely developed eyes, or eyes that are not there at all. Now, as for the rest of the litter, which are born from the same breed, they will mostly be normal. Statistics indicate that approximately 25% of the litter will only be homozygous pups. That's from AmazingAussies.com. While the rest of the litter will be sold like normal, these dogs of the double M, capital double M, face a truly different fate. Australian Shepherds are known to be animated, applicable, and agile. They live for their jobs, which still involves herding livestock and working as an all-purpose farm and ranch dog. That is from akc.org. Basically, they are a rancher's best friend and right-hand dog. So when these dogs are born with physical dysfunctions that make doing their job a little bit harder, the ranchers find them not as necessary on the farm. So what is a breeder to do with these dogs? Well, the main buyers, the ranchers, won't find them fit to work, and most people don't want a dog born with dysfunctions. So the breeders usually end up having to put them down. When my family obtained our first homozygous Australian Shepherd, the breeder was a rancher himself, and he said, and I quote, "We were giving her a few days to sell because she is no use to me here on the farm. And we figured that because she was deaf, no one is really going to want her, so we just figured after a few days we would just put her down." Now, there are those that are spared and put into shelters or organizations especially equipped to handle these dogs. However, with the lack of knowledge that people have about these dogs, and the fact that to these people they don't even really exist, they are often left in shelters till they are put down or spend their lives going from foster home to foster home, never truly finding their forever home. Now, for the lucky ones who do find homes, it is because people really begin to open up about the idea of learning about these animals instead of just writing them off. I have presented you with the 3 most important points that come with discussing these homozygous merles. Now, if someone was to ever ask you about these animals, or if they were ever brought up in conversation, you have the knowledge to be able to speak about them with confidence that you know what you're talking about. You guys possess this knowledge with the understanding of how calling them lethal whites as most who know about them do, is not correct, but you do understand why they do it, and that you should try your best to refer to them as homozygous merles and double merles. You are aware of how these animals come to through the breeding of the double merle dogs because they possess the double capital M dominant gene. Last but not least, you are also aware of the future these dogs have after they are born, whether they are lucky enough to find a loving home or face the uncomfortable fate of being put down, or facing long-term shelter stays or long-term foster home care. I thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to me speak about these wonderful animals, and hopefully one day you can spread your knowledge about these animals as I have done to you, and help get a better understanding out about these animals.